Thanks for joining me here on Periscope. I'm not sure everything is working exactly the way it's supposed to, but we will hope that it is. And the interesting thing is that I seem to get more action on the replays than I do on the live stuff. So we shall see. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. So today, welcome back to 5 steps to getting anything you want. And as a reminder, the 5 steps are: what do you want? Why do you want it? Right there on the screen. Believe you can have it, have faith it's on its way, and take massive action. So today we're going to talk about step 2. Why do you want it? And I think that there's been a lot of stuff said about why, the power of why. There have been books written on the power of why. I've heard tons of quotes. If you go to quotationspage.com and put in quotes about why, one of the most famous ones is basically along the lines of, if you have a strong enough why, you can endure almost any how. But what I've found in my life is that a strong why equals power. Why is like the juice in your battery. It's like the gas in your tank. It's the thing that's going to help you dig down deep and grab that last little bit that you need to push you over the top. And why also makes you sticky. And what do I mean when I say why makes you sticky? It means that you're not going to quit. Most people are quitters. That's a fact. Most people quit when it gets hard. Most people quit when it gets boring. Most people quit when it gets difficult or when it's not fun anymore. And having a really strong why is what gets you to endure anything. You won't quit when it's boring. You won't quit when it's hard. The harder it gets, the harder you do it. And there are really 2 types of why. Now, I'm sure that there are more than 2 types of why out there. But the thing that I have seen is it really comes down to you have internal whys. So internal why is where you hear about stuff like self-motivation, your reasons for doing it. I talked yesterday in the last one about deciding to lose 60 pounds, and the why for that was internal. I was just tired of it. I was sick and tired of being sick all the time. I was sick and tired of not being in good shape. For example, it would take me almost 30 minutes to walk a mile when I started, quote unquote, exercising. The day I decided, okay, I'm just going to walk every day for the next year. It took me 30 minutes to walk a single mile. Now we fast forward from, it was January of 2012 was when I did that. And today I ran 2 miles in 15 minutes and 59 seconds, something like that. It was just under 8-minute miles that I was doing, which 8-minute miles may not seem all that great, but if you're 48 years old, to be able to run an 8-minute mile is an accomplishment. But that internal why, the why are you doing it, the personal reason, just that you're going to do it. You don't have to explain it to anybody else. You don't have to justify it to anybody else. It's just your reason. The other type of why is an external why. And external whys are things like your family, your spouse, your kids. They can also be whys in the negative. So I remember when I got fired from my job in was June of 2001. I got fired from my job. My wife and I had just bought our little white house with the fence and the safe yard for the dogs, and we hadn't even made the first house payment yet. And I got fired from my job. And my wife gave me a month to make things work, to be able to make enough money to cover the bills. And I was up working from 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, nonstop. And I had 2 pictures up in front of my desk. I'll never forget this. One picture on the left was a picture of me and my wife standing in front of a cruise ship. We had gone on a cruise, and that was like one of the best times we'd ever had together. And on the other side was a picture of the guy that I used to work for. And I used to motivate myself by thinking about what I had to do to take care of my wife, and then thinking about that guy laughing at me saying that he knew I was going to fail. And between those 2 things, I used that external why to get myself to take the action I needed to take every single day, even when I didn't believe in myself. So the key thing to take away from that is actually, of the 2 reasons why, external reasons are actually faster ways to get yourself into action. the picture of the guy, me seeing in my mind him telling me, you're going to fail, you suck, you're an idiot, I knew you were no good, that kind of thing. Thinking about my wife, thinking about losing the house, wanting to keep the house, not wanting to fail. These were all external reasons why that were much more immediate, much more feeling them in my gut. Even when I wasn't really sure or clear exactly where I wanted to go, I knew where I didn't want to be. So I used those externals to get fast motivation. And then internal motivation is more long-term motivation, because a funny thing happens, and you hear people say stuff like this, and if you've done it, then you'll understand. If you haven't done it, then you get pissed off. But you'll hear somebody say, well, money isn't everything. And when you don't have any money, then you feel like, that's bullshit. That's easy for you to say, you've got money. And I remember my wife and I were crying, literally holding each other, crying in our accountant's office because we owed the IRS $3,000. And we had absolutely no idea how we were going to pay that. I've been that low. I've declared bankruptcy. I've had, while being diagnosed with a heart condition, while being, seemingly insurmountable amounts of money in debt. And you think, if I had this money, if I had this thing, this why that I'm going for, then my life would be perfect. And actually, that's a bullshit thing, because you think your life's going to be perfect, but when you don't have to worry about money, then you have all kinds of other stuff you need to worry about. You just trade one set of worries for another set of worries. And so the thing that will keep you going long term is internal, because kids grow up. I mean, my kids are all grown now. Now, I'm internally, external motivation, I have my grandkids, but hopefully I did a good enough job with my kids that they take care of my grandkids. So at some point, though, the house gets paid for, you've got, cars, you've got jewelry, you've got money, you've got all these things that were externally motivating you. And then you've got to find the internal motivation. And so the internal motivation is really what's going to give you the long-term motivation. If you don't find internal motivation, internal why, then you're going to have a problem. So again, though, that comes over time. Some people know right away. I mean, they're driven with that internal fire, and other people just aren't. And so if you don't feel it right now, you don't know exactly where you're going, then use the stuff around you. Use your kids, use your circumstances, use your spouse, use the fact that you're uncomfortable as your why to give you that go power. And ultimately, you use both. I use both still, because sometimes that long-term thing of, hey, I've got these things that I want to accomplish, and the problem is they aren't immediate enough. And so, some financial goals or other goals, they just don't seem up close and near enough to motivate you. So you got to have the external. You got to have the ones that are like, hey, there's this thing, it's coming up. There's this deadline. There's this person that needs help. There's this event that I use to motivate myself to do stuff. So you just use both. And I think it's important to have both instead of just one or the other. So just as a reminder or as a recap, step number one was to figure out exactly what you want. Step number two is to find out and figure out exactly why you want it. The power, the sticking power, the go power behind that, what you want. And that motivation, that why, can be internal and it can be external. And like I said, you ultimately want to use both. So next time, we're going to go over step 3, which is to believe that you can have what you want, because that's actually a problem for a lot of people. So I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time for that one. And if you're not already, make sure you follow me at Real Jim Edwards so that you can get these live updates. And I am Jim Edwards, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Hope you enjoy this. Give me a little love if you do, and whack the little button. And do some likes or whatever you got to do. And I hope you enjoy it. And I'll look forward to doing another one of these for you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.